We saw that Daboll was interested in trading up for Jayden Daniels, who ended up going second, obviously. Giants took LSU's Malik Neighbors at 6. So how should Danny Dimes feel about the trade speculation, bro?
Motivated. He might be hurt. He might be saddened. He might feel betrayed. But you better feel motivated. I mean, this year he's fighting for his life as a starting quarterback for the Giants, if not in the whole NFL.
Yeah, of course.
Like, this is his chance. And I don't want to hear any sob stories. Okay, they're looking at somebody else. You're not playing well. The 6 games you played last year, you had 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions for $40 million. All right, so I don't want to hear, oh my, they're actually looking at my replacement. Yeah, they're looking at your replacement. So go out there and put your nose to the grindstone and be motivated.
Yeah, so I don't think he's a player of the caliber that deserves job security.
Right.
I mean, I know that sounds mean. Like, it just as from a football player's perspective, he's not good enough to have real job security. That's just how it works. Like, since post his rookie year. So I don't really hold last year against him that much because he suffered 2 significant injuries. And the only reason he would feel like he has job security is because the team was foolish enough to give him that contract. But because your agent did a good job, it doesn't mean it works longer than a year. Since his rookie year, he has played 47 games. In those 47 games, he averages 200 yards passing, has 38 touchdowns in passing in 47 games, and 41 combined interceptions and lost fumbles. Not total fumbles, lost fumbles. That's not a player that ever should be like, well, I don't have to worry about them bringing someone in. And here's the thing. Even though they didn't, because the little stuff I've seen from Hard Knocks, it sure seemed like Daboll liked Caleb, like Drake, like Jayden, like was interested in these quarterbacks. And that wasn't just because he likes those quarterbacks. I think it's because he's interested in seeing how his offense would look in New York with anyone other than Daniel Jones potentially, which is why this John Schneider quote meant something to me when they lost Drew Lock, and he said, they basically sold him on the opportunity to compete to be the starter. He looked at Baker Mayfield's opportunity last year and felt this could be something similar. Yeah. Some people were like, oh, that was John Schneider being messy, John Schneider doesn't gain much by the Giants having, they're not in the same division, you know what I mean? And Daniel Jeremiah, shortly after the draft, and Daniel Jeremiah is as locked in to anything, and I know this because Dusty talks to me about him almost every day. Daniel Jeremiah said, as just a throwaway line on a post-draft podcast, the Giants weren't just weighing that second crop of quarterbacks after the top 3, the Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy, whatever, versus Daniel Jones. They were weighing them against Drew Lock, which tells me I think that's a real competition in New York between Daniel Jones and Drew Lock. So I guess he's happy they didn't trade for Jayden Daniels, but I think it's possible Drew Lock starts for the New York Giants.
From day one?
I think it's possible.
Wow.
Daboll's playing with
Could have done it. Live from New York. They show that he considers himself a bit of an inventor. If I was 4,000 years ago, I would. I'd be great.
This guy's out here dropping hot Isaac Newton takes before the show.
It's just dissing legend.
He's overrated. Isaac Newton's overrated. His snacks probably underrated. That's first things first. Today.
That was Fig Newton, not Isaac.
Different guy. Yeah. Today, why one very important person on the Chiefs is not interested in talking about a three-peat. Does Andy Reid belong on the board? Meanwhile, Josh Allen, overrated according to one anonymous executive and one host of this show. And finally, Aaron Rodgers questions Saleh. Why this fallout could get worse. Also, classic one.
Classic one. Instantly correct. First opportunity had to be correct. It was correct.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Okay.
I read the whole story.
Yes.
They patched it up.
Bro.
No.
Let's just save it for the show. I mean, this is the show, but when we're doing it in the show. Let's just save it for that.
Okay. We start with the champs. We're 50 days away from Chiefs-Ravens to open the season. Mahomes
and Kansas City gearing up for the three-peat. The active GOAT and Oakley sunglasses enthusiast reflected on last year's path to the Lombardi, which did feature a few bumps and drop passes by Kadarius Toney. Take a listen.
Obviously, the end result was awesome, but I mean, I think a lot of us still have a weird feeling in our mouth because I mean, we really didn't play the football the way we wanted to play all year long, and it wasn't fun. I mean, every single week having to try to just continue to get better and better, and results not paying off the way you wanted to. It wasn't a lot of fun. We have a lot of those same guys back, and they know how that felt, and so we're going to try to prepare ourselves better this year so that we can play better throughout the season, and obviously try to end with the same result.
Pretty transparent there. Regular season ranks for Mahomes, career worst in 4 of these 5 categories. Also, won another Super Bowl. So, do Chiefs need to be better than last year in order to three-peat?
Even though I suggested this question, I want to be clear, this is a ridiculous question. This is if the Chiefs are the exact same as last year, it will be easier. Because if the Chiefs stay where they were, the path to the Super Bowl will be easier than it was last year for 3 very obvious reasons. The first one is their biggest competitors got substantially worse. The Bills took major steps back in personnel. The Ravens took major steps back in personnel and coaching staff. So those were the teams they played in the second round and the third round. They got worse. That's the first reason. The second reason is it is literally impossible for the Chiefs to have a harder path to a Super Bowl than the one they had last year. It was the hardest in NFL history, and I'll show it to you in quick 4 graphics in a row. The first one is, all right, what were the best teams in point differential? The only teams better than the Chiefs. Well, 4 of the 5 they beat en route to the Super Bowl. What about the best players in the league? Who finished better than Mahomes in MVP? Well, 5 of the 6 they beat en route to the Super Bowl. What about the actual history of point differential and how hard your path is? Teams who have where their opponents in the postseason run had a 600-plus point differential. Combined, it's just the 07 Giants, one of the most famous teams ever, which was really buttressed by that Patriots point differential by beating them, and the Chiefs. What about every single one of your opponents outscoring their regular season opposition by 100 or more points in the regular season? Only the Chiefs ever did that.
100.
So the Dolphins, the Bills, the Ravens, and the Niners all outscored their opponents by 100-plus that year. The Chiefs beat all of them en route to the Super Bowl. They all won 11-plus games. They were all excellent teams. And then there is this last part of it, which I'm going to show you a graphic about the defense, but it's really about the bad stat on it, which is why I'm so confident for the Chiefs this coming year. Brew, which is this. Yes, they had an amazing defense, but takeaways, they were awful. There were 14 teams in the league last year, Brew, that were negative in the plus-minus. The Chiefs and 13 teams that won a combined 0 playoff games. The Chiefs had were 27th in the league in plus-minus and 27th in takeaways, and they won the Super Bowl. So no.
Was that, not to put to a pop quiz, was that like falling on fumbles, or is that like grabbing interceptions?
What do you mean?
Like I thought takeaways were a lot of like just luck.
No, but I'm saying they were 27th, meaning they got some of the fewest. They were the 27th is bad. They had some of the fewest turnovers in the forced turnovers in the league. As far so the point being, the turnover luck is some of it, and will find its median. They are not going to lead the league in drop passes again, but even if they do, their path won't be as hard, and the conference is not as hard as it was last year. The conference is easier.
Look, after them winning the Super Bowl last year and looking so bad over the second half of the regular season, you can't say if they don't do this, they can't win it, because they showed us when the chips looked completely down, they could still win it. All right, that said, I completely disagree with Nick. Like, now your graphics were cute, but I disagree with you completely. All right, I don't look. Houston, I think is going to be better.
Yes,
C.J. Stroud should be better. They added Stephon Diggs. I don't think Baltimore's worse, because I know they lost some players, they lost some coaches, they lost some players.
Yeah.
But defensively, I think I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're going to be
What about
legit
their
defensively
offensive
because
line,
they're always legit defensively. And guess what? They always run the ball well too. And now they've added one of the best runner of this generation.